I absolutely love Pat McAfee. He is not here for your bullshit. Everybody else should shut the living hell up and march to the drum of Pat McAfee. I would say this is a not so subtle shot at a particular group of people. I'm a little surprised, though, that he went after the white dude. I think it's what everybody at ESPN should be able to do. McAfee has his guard up, and he ain't wrong to do it. Let me explain to you what this is all about. Good morning. I love Pat McAfee. I'm going to say it. I absolutely love Pat McAfee. He has never met a critic that he doesn't like. He's never met somebody that he won't come back at. He is not here for your bullshit. Let's just be honest. McAfee is not. A lot of people are. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are frightened. A lot of people are like, oh, my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. So-and-so's angry with me. They called me bad names. No, not McAfee. McAfee's never met a critic that he cannot push back on. And he fired up the old social media machine yesterday. And I got to tell you, it was absolutely glorious. He did. I would say this is a not so subtle shot at a particular group of people. Now, the group of people is old white people, but I must say Burke Magnus, who's running the joint, came out very complimentary of McAfee when his ratings just came out, which are at an all-time high. So he mustn't be talking about Burke Magnus, or maybe he is talking about the leader of ESPN, and Magnus realized it was coming and tried to get out in front. I don't know, but you know I love McAfee. And you know I love this. He fired up social media. He took to Instagram to just, eviscerate it. He's talking about old white guys at ESPN hating on him. Here he is.
I just got done with a little morning workout. It was nice to read those comments. I'd like to let all you old fucks know I hate you too. Never got along with that class of people. Teachers, principals, you name it. Since I'm a kid, always hated me. It's kind of a part of life. Now, if you think about old white people and old ESPN people, those are really the people that hate me the most at this stage of life. Now, granted, there's some other groups that certainly have threatened my life on a pretty regular basis. I'd say they hate me too, but throughout the entirety, old whites and the old ESPN people over the last 3 years have really hated me. That's who all the producers are of GameDay too. So now, it's been a fun run. College football's great. Okay. Cheers. Have a great day.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I ain't mad at it. He shared a collage of criticism he's received on a post from the College GameDay account displaying his enthusiastic introduction into the show in Eugene, Oregon on October 11th. The collage included comments such as, Pat needs to go, not a fan at all, wish he wasn't on the show, along with the profile pictures of the users who left them. He wasn't afraid. This isn't the first time McAfee has called out his ESPN colleagues or critics, for that matter. It's unclear what issues he was referring to. In the 3 years since he joined GameDay on a full-time basis, this is from an article in Awful Announcing, McAfee has received no shortage of credit for helping reinvigorate the weekly ESPN show. His comments on his Instagram story, however, seemingly hint at behind-the-scenes issues that weren't previously known. Well, let me get rid of these glasses now that I don't have to read that. And let me explain to you what this is all about. McAfee has always made his own way. He's always been a trailblazer. He's always said you're either with me or you're not. And it's very simple. The guys and I've moved closer actually to McAfee's place. Where's my house? It's right here, his place. And the guys that work for him are loyal to a fault, and they're there because they're loyal to a fault, and they should be loyal to a fault because McAfee, well, frankly, he does what he does, which is take care of people. I don't understand even for a second, though, how anybody on that set, how anybody behind the scenes, how any producer, any director, any advertiser, any cameraman, any stage manager, any makeup lady, hello, Trish, could be upset with McAfee at all. See, everybody's job basically in and around that show, with the possible exception, or really the exception, of Herbie and Reese, is tied to that show. Desmond Howard has no actual skill. He doesn't provide anything. He's, the DEI hire, and he does it well. There's nothing he ever says. He can't really broadcast games. They tried it. It didn't work. So he should be the happiest. Reese doesn't need it. Reese can do a variety of things. Kirk is the guy at ESPN. But everybody else should shut the living hell up and march to the drum of Pat McAfee and Nick Saban. Obviously, Saban doesn't need McAfee. So for anybody at any time, anywhere, to have any bad thing to say about McAfee, one of two things is happening. Either Pat hasn't treated them well, and anybody that's around Pat understands he pretty much treats people really well, or certainly treats people the way they deserve to be treated. Or there's jealousy, which, God, is there jealousy at ESPN. Oh, my God, is there jealousy. It's ridiculous. It's actually absurd. And it's silly. But it's one of those two things. And if I were betting, I would go 95% jealousy or weirdness or ESPN-ness. Or maybe there's a person or two that Pat rubbed the wrong way, which in any industry can certainly happen. As to the comments that are made, Pat probably should let those go. I mean, let's just be honest. When you look at comments, you're always going to get negative comments. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you say. Hell, I just gave 25 bikes to kids in a small town in Indiana that has a lot of legal immigrants in it, and people crushed me. Not everybody, some. Most people said, great job. But you understand that. When you are a polarizing figure, you're going to get the comments. When you are a polarizing figure and you give bikes or you do something good like McAfee does every week with his kicking thing, there are going to be those that say, yeah, but why didn't you do this? It's no different than Donald Trump. I've said forever, cure cancer, people are going to bitch he didn't cure AIDS. Solve wars, they're going to bitch that something else went bad. I get it, we do. No kings. All right, great. But the truth of the matter is Pat McAfee, and being Pat McAfee, has pissed off a lot of people. I'm a little surprised, though, that he went after the white dudes. Because, frankly, there are two segments there. You ever see McAfee on Stephen A's show? Of course not. You ever see Stephen A on McAfee's show? Of course not. Why do you think that is? Why wouldn't you bring the two biggest stars together? Well, because there's a faction of Stephen A. Smith guys that don't like McAfee. I don't think Pat cares. I don't think Pat gives a rat's ass whether Stephen A. Smith or L. Duncan or any of these clowns on the Stephen A. Smith side like him. And I don't think Stephen A. Smith cares about the McAfee side of it, because Stephen A. Smith is trying to run for president. But the truth of the matter is there's an internal war here, and it's a little bit fascinating. It's fascinating that Pat continues to do this, continues to get away with it, and in fact has raised his profile, not because of that. It's because of his talent, his energy. He brings it every day, that kind of stuff. But he's able to get away with it and increase his visibility. I personally dig it. I dig it big time. I think it's awesome what he does. I think it's what everybody at ESPN should be able to do. Call out the hypocrisy, call out the stupidity, and frankly, call out the racism at ESPN. They should. Call out the DEI, call out the scared, call it all out, and then deal with the repercussions. I mean, Pat's of a certain, not age, but Pat is of a certain financial status and personal entertainment industry status where he can do whatever he wants. And that's awesome. No, it really is. It's fantastic. So the old white people thing, all right, that's cool. But when I saw that, I didn't necessarily think he was taking shots at his bosses. I kind of felt like he was taking shots at fans. Old ESPN people that like it the old way. People on Facebook, Instagram, I guess mostly, YouTube, Twitter, wherever, that are taking shots at him. I really take it, but I'll play on it, and I'll say, if he is, God bless him. And if you're an executive at ESPN, it would probably behoove you to get behind the Pat McAfee train, because that bad boy ain't slowing down anytime soon, and I'm digging it. He did take that show, as I said before the show, hired McAfee before they hired Saban. He took that show over because it was dull. They didn't have a coach on there. Same old character. How much can you hear Desmond Howard laugh? Now, tired. He invigorated it. Memo to you ESPN dudes. How about this? Get on the McAfee bus. Like the Must bus. Get on the McAfee bus and do it as fast as you can, because that bad boy, Now, this isn't the first time McAfee's, of course, thrown Norby Williamson, calling him a rat. Called him a rat for tanking his show from the inside. So McAfee has his guard up, and he ain't wrong to do it. Not even a little bit. Hey, this show is brought to you and presented by our friends at Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks. I do. I got a couple friends in Georgia, my boy Todd Blinko and some of his buddies. I got them using Prize Picks because there's no gambling there, and they love it. It's brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right and get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of viewers or users and sign up today. Download the Prize Pick app today. Do it. Use code DAKICH to win $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. What? Terry Francona says you got to do it. That's code DAKICH. Get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, good to be right. Oh, boy, here we go. How do you take this? The dreaded vote of confidence. Can the vote of confidence appease, save, placate Hugh Freeze and Auburn's fans? I don't know, man. Tigers head coach is begging for one from athletic director John Cohen, while Mike Norvell over at Florida State, who's going to be out at the end of the season, his AD, Michael Alford, saying team is fully committed to helping the coach reach through the rest of the season. Wisconsin AD Chris McIntosh is expressing his commitment to Luke Fickell. Freeze has not received a public endorsement. He said as much during Monday's press conference. It's just different in the SEC, isn't it? It's just different. What? Here's Hugh Freeze on the no vote of confidence.
Hugh, I guess today you've had some programs like Florida State and Wisconsin where their ADs have come out and talked about supporting their current head coaches. I guess, first of all, have you talked to John Cohen since Saturday night about the state of the program, what he thinks? And then I guess second question would be, what would a statement of support mean or not mean? Like, do you need that at all?
Well, that would be huge. That'd make everyone feel a lot better for sure. I haven't talked to John. I'm gonna say John has been so supportive ever since obviously my hire. And, but I don't get too much into, they have a job to do, and certainly he has people he has to answer to. And I know how close we are. I know I can get this fixed, and we're too dang close. And we've got to get a little bit better play and a little bit better coaching at a few spots. And I want a chance to fix this. And, obviously, I've totally gotten off of all social media, so I'm not sure what exactly was said in those other cases, but that's got to be reassuring to those people in there that they believe that they can get it fixed. But again, I've trusted John since I've been here to do the right things, and he's got to do, what he feels is best for this program, of course. And I think it's us. I think we fit Auburn. I think we fit the Auburn culture. I think the culture in the building has changed. I think the talent level has changed. And unfortunately, we just hadn't gotten over the hump in a very difficult stretch of games. But I believe that's coming very, very soon.
There you go. I mean, one thing Hugh Freeze can do is he can sling the caca. No, he really can. Here's what John Cohen had to say. I don't know if I'm going to walk outside, my car is going to start or not. I think it is. I have an expectation it will. But if my car doesn't start enough, then I will evaluate that and make decisions about my car. But that's not my expectation at this point about our football program. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to talk about his car, blowing up or something. I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, take it from me. That means nothing. What means something is what happens in the game. The head coach is publicly asking for a vote of confidence from his own athletic director. If I were the AD, I would call Freeze in and say, hey, look, we are close, but you don't need to be talking about me, and I don't need to be talking about you. Let's be big boys here and understand, here's your record, and they're going to put it on here for you. 14-18 overall record, 5-11 in SEC play, 0-5 against rivals Alabama and Georgia. And he plays the Iron Bowl last game this season. Their quarterback, Jackson Arnold, is terrible. And he's the guy they paid money to. So here's the deal with that. When you pay money to a quarterback to come be your quarterback, where'd you get the money? Say it with me, boosters. You got the money from boosters, which means you're going to have to do what? Answer to those boosters. Look, there was a reason going way back coaches did not want boosters involved in their programs. Why? They didn't want to answer to them. Now, I gave you the record here, and the record shows you're not doing very well. That's an AD situation. But now the quarterback, I don't know how much they paid him, probably wasn't a crazy amount. Still had to get the money from somewhere. Now you got to answer. And you know who else has to answer to the boosters? The athletic director, John Cohen. Mess. He gone. And I don't take any kind of glee in that, except to say, probably got a nice buyout. And as I was sitting with a good friend of mine the other day, last week, financial guy, hey, man, did James Franklin have a good weekend when he got fired or a bad weekend? Oh, are you crazy? He had the best weekend you could possibly have, and that's coming for Hugh Freeze. Hey, you enjoying the show? Of course you are. Do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. Do two things. One, go over to youtube.com/@don'tatme with Dan Dakich. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell. That bell tells you when I've posted something, or when we've posted something, I should say, because my great staff here posts it. Davey and Aaron and, of course, Nick. They post it, and it's great, so you want to know. But anyway, head on over. That way you'll never miss. But subscribe. I'm trying to get to $5,000 by the end of the week. We're building. We're building big. This is not how you want to start your career. It's here in Indianapolis. Rookie Cam Jones. Indiana Pacers star rookie. Remember, the season for them starts tomorrow night. Cam Jones was arrested and taken into custody after leading police on a 4-mile-long, what's being described as a car chase. Now, here's what I don't understand. Rick Carlisle is a longtime coach, and I understand NBA coaches have to be afraid to criticize, but Rick Carlisle believes the entire ordeal is being overblown. And he was just driving faster because he was trying to get to his workout and rehab thing. You try that. You try telling that cop that. Seriously, you try that. Hey, cop, I'm trying to get to the doctor, the rehab. I told a cop one time, look, I got to take a dump. I'm going to take a dump right here. He said, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll follow you to the gas station. You go take a dump. I'll write you a ticket. I said, fine. According to reports, 6'4" Jones was instructed to pull over while driving erratically on I-65, weaving between cars at a high speed and 90 miles an hour in a 60 before leading police on a chase. 23-year-old was arrested, and he was booked into county jail, reckless driving, resisting arrest. And this is really stupid by Carlisle. He came in, was very contrite about the situation. This is a kid with exemplary character. After hearing the details of this, in the end, this will be a speeding ticket. A lot of times things are on a police report are overblown. This was a kid driving a little faster than he should have been, trying to get to his workout and his rehab. Here's the two of them embarrassing themselves, talking to the media.
Some of you heard my comments on the radio show today about this situation. My feeling is that this is going to turn out to be a speeding ticket and probably not much more. The kid thought he was going to be late to practice, so he was going too fast. And I'm not going to get into much more about it than that. But he insisted on apologizing to the team today, and I just want to let him say a few words to you guys right now.
I'm obviously deeply sorry to the Pacers organization, the fans. This is a pretty traumatic experience for me. I've never been through anything like this, but definitely a mistake that I've learned from, and anything close won't come. Nothing close will happen to this again. That's it.
Sounded good.
It won't happen again. Yeah, there we go. Deeply sorry to the organization, and looking forward to kind of letting this go past and get back to work.
Yeah, deeply traumatic for him. How about you come to a new town and you don't get charged with a felony? Whatever happens, whether it's a speeding ticket like Carlisle alludes to, whatever it is. How about you don't do that? How about we don't come to a new town where you're trying to make a team that was in the NBA Finals last year and don't disrespect the police? How about that? Now, I'm sure it's really traumatic for you because, it's all about you. I get that. But the truth of the matter is, why don't you just come into Indy? Don't go 90 in a 60. Or if you do and the cops catch you, hey, it's cat and mouse. You took a swing, they got you. I've had speeding tickets. I've had a lot of them. I've never had a felony. Somebody actually went back to like 08 or 09 or something and found a speeding ticket or two of mine. Good for you. I got a bunch. I'll be honest with you. I probably, between Indianapolis and Gary, Maryville, Indiana, I've probably been stopped 100 times over 30 years, 40 years, whatever it's been. I probably got 12 tickets, 10 tickets. I don't know. But I never had a felony. How about that's what we do? And how about, Coach, instead of getting up there and embarrassing yourself? Now, I like Carlisle. We played against each other in college. We text once in a while. How about you don't do that? That'd be interesting. How about you don't go to and start laughing about, this is so traumatic for me. Really? Huh? No kidding. What about the police officers that had to chase your ass? Any apology to them? Anything? Nothing? Zero? Zip? Nothing? Okay. No, this is just more nonsense. Absolutely more complete nonsense by professional teams, professional coaches, and I love the Pacers. I guarantee you Kevin Pritchard isn't going to appear at a press conference saying that nonsense. But Carlisle's the coach, and for some reason he felt the need. Maybe it is a speeding ticket, but he'd been charged with a felony. Now, this will be interesting. Our friend Jason Hammer makes fun of Ryan Mears. Ryan Mears is the prosecutor here that is acting, according to Jason Hammer, like Billy Badass, overcharging, I guess, Mark Sanchez in most people's mind, given what this prosecutor has done with murderers, rapists. He's let him off easy. It'll be interesting to see if this prosecutor wants to go Billy Badass on a young African-American kid. He won't. No, he won't. This will be a speeding ticket, and Carlisle will be right, but that's embarrassing for the organization. How about you just come to town and maybe don't get a felony? I don't know. I'm sure that's racist. Personal vendetta, or did Belichick do this entirely to himself? Greg Olson, I'm with Greg Olson. He believes media folks and fans are piling on Belichick. in the wake of leaked audio in which Jordan Hudson and Bill are ripping the production staff for his show Coach, which he hosted last year. Good. Well, are you not allowed to rip anybody? Are we just supposed to sit back and take it? I don't think so. People are out to get Belichick when he's down. That's according to Greg Olson, who, by the way, is a nice broadcaster, but don't make him out to be anything that he isn't. And he's a nice guy that goes on shows so people like him. But here is Olson talking about people out to get Belichick.
What was your guys' reaction? I thought this was a bad rap for Belichick. People are out to get him right now. But who films this? Imagine me in a meeting where you think there wasn't anything that crazy in that clip, and people literally were acting like it was the craziest thing they've ever seen. Greg, start with you.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I first saw it, and I didn't see that clip, there's a million different clips going around. I saw one about his principles of winning, or something about score touchdowns and don't kick field goals, and she was challenging. That was the clip that I saw. I was kind of disinterested in it. I watched it for 30 seconds and said, this is silly. My takeaway was also, if you filmed every production meeting that I was in, if you filmed every pregame meeting that we're sitting around in the booth kicking out ideas and people are sharing, and I say, I wouldn't want some of that aired too, right? You're just brainstorming, you're kicking things into the air, you say things that are wrong, you say things that are right, people are fact checking you, you're trying to get your story straight before you go on air, or in this case a podcast. Yeah, that's my biggest takeaway. I think there's a lot of people that are creating really interesting content. I just think about it from my own perspective, going on air to prepare to call a game. Coach knows this firsthand. There's a lot of people giving you advice. There's a lot of people that are giving you pointers. I still sometimes don't know how to work the telestrator. And you think I want that film, some tech coming in and teaching me how to update my telestrator? I'd look like a fool. So I don't know. I think it's a lot to do about nothing. I do think he's got a target on his back. I think the college football community, for whatever reason, sees him as an outsider. And it feels like there's just a lot of negative axe to grind against him. I think people have seen him win for a long time, and now in typical society, they like that he's kind of down and they're going to kick him because they haven't been able to do it for 20 years. I think there's a lot of personal and vendetta stuff going on right now against Belichick.
There you go. I think he's absolutely right. I think there's a ton of it. I think the media is fighting back. I get it every time I tweet something. It's the same old people that don't like me or that I've ripped fighting back. Good for them. But I totally agree with Greg Olson. He's the only guy in the history of coaching that hasn't been given any grace whatsoever in his first year. People have said to me, in fact, last night, I got bored. I fell asleep like 3:15 when I got home from my other show. Got up around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'm kind of bored. Lee's gone, so I walked over to the clubhouse over here, and I got a glass of wine, and I had a sandwich. A couple buddies of mine got done playing golf. They sat down, and they started talking about this and talking about this Hudson woman being a pain in the ass. I said, you got to understand, wives of coaches have always done this. Krzyzewski's wife, Mickey, unbelievable. Unbelievable pain in the ass. Unbelievable. Coach Knight's wife, I've said this for years. Now, this reason I'm going back to those guys is because this is Belichick's era, those guys. Well, Coach Knight's wife, I've told this, MF'd me so hard at Madison Square Garden and other players so hard that you just had to kind of turn and laugh and go, wow, all right, cool. His first wife, Nancy. Second wife, MF'd and was at practice. Second wife watched film. Second wife became, and I forgot to tell these guys this, the Knight's second wife became our strength and conditioning coach. So this kind of stupidity has been going on. But nobody knows these things because most in the media have never been involved directly day-to-day with a program. Now, will you think Miss Terry, who, by the way, I don't understand it because she's a Mrs., but anyway, you think Miss Terry was all breakfast and coffee? Hell no. Hell no. But you know what? Miss Terry has a reputation of being this ace recruiter. Why? Simple. Saban won. Was Miss Terry the great recruiter and great help at Miami Dolphins? Of course not. But we got to listen to the bullshit of Miss Terry constantly. Why? Because Saban won. When Belichick wins, and I think he will if he stays the course, when he wins, people will be talking, well, maybe we were wrong about this young lady, but women have been doing this shit forever. Wives of coaches have been doing this shit forever. Damon Bailey, who had a birthday yesterday, most famous 8th grade basketball player in the history of the world, I had to bring him out to Coach Knight's house after a game. I had to find him first because he always went home and got lost in Bedford. He didn't want to hang out in the college scene. He went back to Chapel Hill, Indiana. I bring him out to Coach Knight's house, and we're out there. And Coach starts ripping him. And then Coach Knight says, and what do you think, Karen? His wife. And Karen starts ripping him. We go back to the car. I said, Damon, I swear to God. He looks at me, he goes, hey, Coach, I can hear it from you or from Coach Knight, but I ain't listening to that woman. And he's right. You didn't sign up to play for the coach's wife. So this has been going on forever and ever and ever and ever. Belichick's just on the wrong side of the media. Belichick's just a guy that now, that never got out because there was no social media. Now everything gets out. But he's given no grace. None. I hope the dude wins big. I never rooted for Belichick. I knew him a little bit going way back, so I liked him. But now I root for him. I hope he wins, and I hope he wins big in the coming years. I hope he sticks with it. But this got nothing to do with that girlfriend. Everybody's losing their mind over it. It is stupid. Sticking with the theme of Belichick and college football, Luke Fickell. I like Luke Fickell a lot. He's refuting reports from friend of the show, Dane Brugler, that Louisville, I'm looking right at it and I said Louisville, has pulled a move out of Belichick's bag and banned NFL scouts from attending Wisconsin's practice. Man, I don't think this is true, but we'll see. Brugler says Fickell has been shutting NFL scouts out of practice. So games are the only chance that people can get to see Wisconsin players. Maybe that's true. And Dane is a good reporter. And I don't think a guy would say that if it wasn't true. Here's Luke Fickell's response.
Did you have one?
Yeah, I just have one. Sorry, it's unfair to ask you now, but this got some traction online. Dane Bugler from The Athletic said that you had been shutting out NFL scouts from practices. Is that true, and if so, why?
No, we have NFL scouts there almost every single day. I think that at 1 week we kind of said, look, on Wednesdays let's don't have a slew of guys. But no, I mean they're in the building. They're able to ask. Maybe they can't watch the whole practice on a Wednesday. I think, but my goodness, we don't even have much of a restriction. I think there was a week, but other than that. No, I think we've got other things to worry about. To get into some Bill Belichick type of scouting situation. That's the least of our worries. But no, they can ask all questions and visit with too many people at times, but they're more welcome.
Well, Brugler, I like this. He's not backing down. No. He doubled down. I'll just say this. Pretty weird thing for me to randomly make up. My original post was based on info from multiple scouts, and I've heard from several more this morning. It's real. There you go. This whole ordeal seems weird, fishy. Why in the hell would a struggling college football coach ban NFL scouts from practice? Why? And on the other hand, why would Dane Brugler randomly make up this information if it wasn't true? I don't know. Both are great questions. You know, maybe, and I'll try to play the middle here, because Brugler's never given anybody any reason to think he'll make something up. And Fickell, while he is under great pressure at Wisconsin, I mean, I could tell by his reaction, that's not true. I'll give you this. Maybe some scouts felt like we tried to get there on Wednesday, as Fickell said, and we couldn't get in, or we couldn't go, or they didn't allow us. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Maybe something of that nature. But this is a weird deal. And I don't know why anybody really cares. I mean, why? Okay, you're not letting scouts in. Okay, you are letting scouts in. Hey, How about you win a game and figure it out? Jack Nicklaus just got paid, yo. $50 million from a Florida jury in his defamation lawsuit against Nicklaus Companies, which is owned by billionaire banker Howard Milstein. In the defamation lawsuit, Nicklaus claimed the defendant suggested he considered a $750 million deal to become the face of the South Arabian financed Live Golf League and disseminated those false claims to media outlets, along with suggesting the defendants falsely alleged that he suffered from dementia and wasn't mentally fit to manage his business affairs. Wow. Nicklaus' attorney, it's always hard in a defamation case to prove damages, particularly for a guy like Jack. It's always been such a good one, but I think it was important to dispute that arose 3.5 years ago when the company told the world that Jack was selling out the PGA Tour for Saudi Golf, when it wasn't true. According to Nicklaus, he had no interest in the offer. He declined because he felt the PGA Tour was an important part of his legacy, and if the PGA was not in favor of the new league, he did not want to be involved. According to the Palm Beach Post, the jury ruled that Nicklaus Companies actively participated in the false publishing of facts that damaged the 18-time major champion's reputation, exposed him to ridicule, hatred, mistrust, distrust, and contempt. Nicklaus Companies said it paid the legendary golfer $145 million in May of 2007 for exclusive rights to his golf course design services, marketing, promotional, and branding rights. Then they went against him. Actually, I'm starting to look, I think, a little like, what's that guy's name? SVP, Scott Van Pelt. I think I look like him. Stephen A. Smith back in the news. He's claiming Kyrie Irving was right all along. Huh? All right. Kyrie Irving was right all along with his vaccine take. Good. Good for him. I have no idea. I really, really have no idea. Nobody criticized Irving more than Stephen A. Smith, but Smith came to the defense of Irving regarding the most controversial decision of his career, which was, hey, I'm not getting vaccinated, so I can't play games on the road. Smith has now gone on record as saying Irving was right about not bending the knee to the mandate that forced thousands of people into receiving the jab in New York City. Here's Smith on Irving.
When I get into it with Kyrie, my whole point was, do you see who Kyrie Irving is? Kyrie's a good brother, man. Kyrie's a good brother. We used to butt heads because he missed work too damn much. And I'm like, yo, man, this brother's electrifying. I want to see this brother dancing on the basketball court. I don't want to hear no shit about no COVID vaccine. Get your ass on the court. I need to see you. Now, obviously, in hindsight, the brother right, because we see all the conspiracy theories that come out, and props to him for having the foresight to see that. We didn't see that at the time. And then, but you also have to understand, I'm living in a world where you got cats making 38, 40, 45 million. You got GMs and owners complaining about it. And you got billionaires looking me in the face and saying, yo, Stephen A., I took that damn vaccine. Who the hell are they not to take the vaccine? And we're living in a country where the government was imposing all of that on us. So I'm sitting there going like this. We all taking the risk. Kyrie said no. Props to him, but I didn't view it that way.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to lie. I love when Stephen A. Smith goes Kamala Harris. When he's talking to a brother, he brothers it up. It's awesome. And that's good. A lot of white dudes do that. A lot of white dudes, when they have an African-American guest, they change the way they talk. Stephen A. Smith does it all the time. I get a kick out of it. I love it. While Smith, this is from an article by our Mark Harris on Outkick. While Smith's blanket statement about conspiracy theories doesn't exactly explain much, his sentiment that Irving was standing up for what he believes in and not getting the vaccine because the government was trying to force him is more than fair. Irving wasn't the only person who made the same personal decision during the pandemic, but he certainly was among the most famous to take a stance. I'm not bringing science into it. I'm staying rooted in what I believe in. I am doing what's best for me. I know the consequences here, and if it means I'm judged and demonized for it, that's just what it is. He said in an Instagram live post that particular season, he appeared in just 29 games due to his, his unvaccinated status. New York City implemented a mandate that prohibited unvaccinated people from taking part in large indoor gatherings, including NBA games, leaving Irving only available to road contests. Irving did not play his first home game for the Nets that season until late March, when NYC lifted its mandate for athletes. Yeah, I love the Kamala Harris stuff, though. I'm going to start doing that. I want to start talking y'all when I talk in my afternoon show in southern Indiana. I love all that, man. Oh, man. Hey, just say, you know what? If Irving was right, fine. But I will say this. My wife didn't get vaccinated, but I have a good friend who ended up in intensive care, and a very respected doctor, very respected, told him, man, that vaccine saved you. I have a very good friend that got COVID and passed away, wasn't vaccinated. So I'm not all in with anybody on either side on this. I'm not. I am in with Stephen A. Smith when I say I do like to see Kyrie Irving dance on the basketball court, and the brother is electrifying, and he's a good brother. I am with him on that. Because I have said this, Kyrie Irving is the closest thing to Isaiah Thomas that I have ever seen. In fact, I've said this for years. He's one of the best layup shooters I've ever seen. I watched Kyrie Irving with the Celtics single-handedly, maybe not single-handedly, but you get the point, kick the Pacers' ass in a playoff series a couple years ago. And I'm sitting there. It was really the first time I watched. I think I went to two home games. I think there was two. And I went, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, hey, Stephen A., I want to see the brother hooping too now. I do. I want to see him dance. So I'm glad I hope he gets back soon, because as Michael Thompson said yesterday, that is a championship caliber team, Dallas, if they get that brother back on the court, which I hope they do. I do. And I also hope they get him back on the court, Danny. Dakich, I got to tell you, Dakich, you son of a bitch, you're driving me crazy. I got all kind of accents. We do voices on my show. I like voices. Stephen A. Smith. Oh, man. Pretty smart. Love it. Glad he and Kyrie Irving buried the hatch. Actually, I don't give a rat's ass, but I wish Kyrie Irving was dancing on the court, because I think he's really good. I think he's really smart, too. I could be dead wrong. Maybe even the people at Outkick think I'm dead wrong. I don't know. But I gave you my personal experience. My personal experience, that leads me to my views. All right, we got a monster for you. What the Hell Wednesday coming up. We also have Chris Broussard, and Ohio State fans, buckle up, because the coach, Lou Holtz, is coming up here at 10 o'clock. We'll be right back. Football national champion, Hall of Famer, you name it, Coach Holtz has done it. Coach, when you speak, Ohio State listens. They get all upset. They get all nervous. They get all crazy, Coach. So I'm going to ask you point blank, my Indiana Hoosiers, where I coached and played 17 years, are they the best team in the Big Ten, or is the Ohio State University, or is somebody else?
I think it depends upon which day you're talking about, but I think Indiana's been a surprise to the team, not only last year, but this year as well. And the fact they beat Oregon so decisively was very, very impressive to me. So we're going to see when Ohio State plays Indiana, but both of them will make the playoff. But it comes down to who's going to play better on that given day in the playoffs. Doesn't matter in the season.
Let me ask you, they would play in a Big Ten championship game. You just said something fascinating. It doesn't matter during the season. It matters in the playoffs. Is that good for college football?
I don't think it is. You know, if we want to get into a conversation about college football, I think that we go back and look at the reason we had athletics in colleges. Remember, the Ivy League had the biggest stadiums. I mean, 80,000. That's where college football really got to start. But why'd they do that? Because it's a great educational experience. You learn teamwork. You learn perseverance. You learn unselfishness, all those things. But now we've gone to the point where we pay athletes, and we've taken away all the true values of it. I hope they'll do a study in a few years about people that played at 4 different schools in 4 different years and did it predominantly for the money. How much money do they have left out of that millions that they made? But more importantly, what kind of contact they have, what lessons did they learn, what values are going to help them in the future. I think we're going to be disappointed at the results of college football and the advantages of it. I always believed in college football because I know what it did for so many people's lives, including mine.
James Franklin, modern college football, 3 straight losses after getting into the playoffs, winning a game, coming a play or 2 away from going to the national championship game. Where are you at with what happened with James Franklin being fired?
I think it was wrong. I really do. Yeah, he didn't win a big game, but why didn't he win a big game? He didn't win a big game because he treated it like a big game. You forget about it. You say, let's remember what got us here. The same thing that's got us into this game with Ohio State will enable us to get out of here. That's if we execute fundamentals, we block, we tackle, we play unselfishly. But they treat it like a big game. You have to remember this. Every time you win a game, the next game is more important. And, so you just can't approach it that way. We always had great success in a big game because we never approached it as a big game. We just approached it as another game, and we're pretty good, and that's why we're here. And let's keep doing the things that we've been doing.
It's the biggest buyout you ever got. Did you ever get a buyout?
Biggest buyout I got, they gave me $1 once to go get a hot dog. That was it. I never got a single buyout. I never had an agent. I wanted to deal directly with the athletic director, the president that hired me. I didn't worry about it. The most money I ever made at Notre Dame after the NBC contract, after enlarging the stadium, after tremendous receipts coming in, most I made at Notre Dame was $115,000. That's a maximum, and that was up from $95,000 for what they hired me for. But that's just life. You don't go into coaching to make money. You just try to do it the right way and understand the true values you get in coaching is this. A lot of people can go into business, make a lot of money, and when they die, that ends. When you go into coaching, you have a chance to be significant. And significance when you help other people be successful. And that lasts many a lifetime. After I get done with the show, I'm going to talk to Urban Meyer, who's going into the Hall of Fame, and explain to him, but my physical handicaps right now prevent me from being able to go there to enjoy his enrollment into the Hall of Fame. But it's just part of life. But as long as he lives, Woody Hayes continues to live, because I coach for Woody Hayes, and many of the values I learned from Woody Hayes. Also, I tell you this, I learned more on an athletic field than I ever learned in the college classroom. And I learned more in the military than I ever learned anywhere else. And this country would be better off if everybody had to go into the military for a year. You learn about selfishness, you learn about appreciating this country, you learn about the true values, and you learn about making good choices. So I just think it's a shame the direction some of this country's headed in.
What concerns you the most about the direction of this country?
I think the values. I think that, let's remember this, culture is what's really important. When you go into a college situation or you go into business, you're going to go through 4 stages. The first stage you're going to go through is you learn how to compete. You learn how to compete because you learn how to block and tackle, do the fundamentals like Indiana's doing now. Then you learn how to win. You learn how to win because you do little things. Everybody does the big things. The winners are the ones that do the little things. Then you'll have to learn how to handle winning. Once you start winning, as you know, everybody thinks you're going to win for every day, and they all want their accolades, and they all want to stand there and pound their chest. But once you get by that, you learn to develop the culture. And that's what I worry about this country, is the culture. We have too many people come here and don't understand what made this country great and what are the things we really believe in. What are the things that are important? I don't know what the culture is, but I do know this. You can't have a great organization till you develop a culture. And a culture is when the people take charge of the country. They don't wait for somebody to say that's wrong. They do it themselves. The great football teams have great cultures. We've lost the culture of this country. I don't know what are the things we really cherish that are important, but I've been fighting for it, and I will continue to do it till the day I die. And fortunately, that's not too many days ahead.
What's your thought on Donald Trump and the job he's done trying to develop and get rid of a corrupt culture and put in a more American type culture?
I think what he has done is nothing short of fantastic. And what gets me is all the people that criticize everything about him but never have a suggestion, never have an idea how to do things. All they worry about is criticizing him, etc. And I think that's wrong. What he has done to this country, now I don't like the fact that everything's about him and we're the greatest there's ever been. Yeah, if you have to talk about how great you aren't very great. When you're great is when other people talk about how great you are. And if other people just let him know, hey, we really appreciate what he's done as president is nothing short of fantastic. You look at the immigration we have and how he has closed that off. And that has just hurt this country because the culture of the country, one of the things we believe in, I don't know, people come to this country, and I was in World War II. I was after World War II. We had a lot of immigration, but people came here because they wanted to become us. They wanted to share the same values and love this country and love one another and vote for the proper things. But lo and behold, now everybody, what's in it for me? You know, I'm an immigrant, and there's nothing wrong with immigration as long as it's done legally. Come here and do it the right way, and that's what will make this country great and keep it going great. But I think what Donald Trump is doing gives this country a chance to survive for the next 50 years. Up until he became president, I didn't know if this country would make it another 20 years.
Coach, I'm going to go back to football real quick. Notre Dame didn't have to play two big-time teams to start the season. They didn't have to. They played good games. Now they seem to have, on a streak here. Where are you at with Notre Dame's season so far?
I think Notre Dame's an excellent football team. They lost two very close games, but we don't play a very, very difficult schedule. We have Navy left, yeah. We have, I think, Pittsburgh left. Stanford left. We really don't have a challenge ahead of us. But I think we're a very good football team. I think we have an excellent coach. And I think we're capable of beating anybody once we get into that playoff. And we'll definitely get into the playoff. The only teams that are short of being in the playoff would be Notre Dame because we've lost two close games. And we aren't going to lose any other ones. Of course, you have Ohio State undefeated. You have Indiana, which is undefeated. They're surprising me. They're playing so well. And then you have teams like the Big Ten, like Oregon, is playing very, very well. Then you look at the conference, Clemson, you expect to be there, but they're not going to be there this year. However, Miami will definitely be there unless they blow up this year like they did the last year. But I think they will be fine. And you look at just so many good teams. I thought that in the conference,
Did you think Notre Dame should ever be in a conference? When you were coaching there, or now as the landscape changed? You're playing a lot of SEC teams, but where have you historically been with Notre Dame joining a league?
I don't think we should be in a conference. We're a national school. We can go anywhere in the country and recruit anybody. We can go anywhere and play anybody and fill the stadium up. Notre Dame had to join the Mid-American Conference, the conference for the other conference schools. I mean, for the other sports. You look at women's soccer, men's soccer, basketball. The thing that you have to do, if we weren't associated with the conference, we wouldn't be able to make the playoffs in other sports like soccer, baseball, etc. But Notre Dame's a national school. We're not a local school. And I think that we could go anywhere and recruit anybody in the country. We get a Southern Cal has got a chance to get a good athlete. It's Southern Cal, or we could go into Texas, has good a chance as Texas, because we had national appeal. And that's what they want to keep. And so I don't think we'll get into a conference as long as we have access to the championship games in all sports.
You know, you bring up something interesting, and I'm curious your thought on this. People say, well, of course the playoffs will put Notre Dame in because they fill stadiums. They're a national school. It's Notre Dame. Do you feel that to be the case? Like, a tie goes to Notre Dame when it comes to now the 12-team playoff. Do you feel that at Notre Dame?
I used to feel that way until I went to Notre Dame. And we got screwed in balloting. I mean, you take 89 and 93. We won the national championship, but we were deprived of that. That was unfair. And very seldom did we lose a football game on the field. It was a real big game, whether it was Miami, Florida State, Penn State, whoever else it may be. Notre Dame is a very, very special school, but it's like anything else where they aren't going to get a lot of advantages. I didn't realize how many people were anti-Catholic till I went to Notre Dame and saw the way they voted.
No kidding. You felt like religion played into it.
Well, I think Notre Dame is, and I have to admit this also, my attitude didn't help at all with the media because I was sort of arrogant, obstinate, and I had to be the spokesman for our team, whether I was at NC State or Arkansas or happened to be at Notre Dame. You got to profess the faith in your team and preach about it.
I'm going to go see Urban Meyer Friday. We're going to have dinner. His big noon kickoff is coming in. You mentioned Coach Meyer. What did he mean to you? What did he mean to Notre Dame? I know what you meant to him. We've talked about it numerous times, he and I. But what was he? Did you see what was coming out of Urban?
Well, I had a vacancy, and I think the coaches' convention was in New York, and I was there, and my son Skip was leaving to become the head coach at Connecticut. And he said, Dad, you need to talk to Urban Meyer about replacing me. Urban Meyer replaced me with Earl Bruce previously. I said, Skip, I know what I'm doing. I'm not interested in getting any more coaches on my roster. I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. No. He said, just have lunch with him. I said, I don't want to have lunch with him. I don't know him. I don't care. I'm tired. I'm leaving tomorrow. He said, will you have lunch with me? I said, as long as we have it early enough. So I go to lunch the next day, and Skip said, Dad, I want you to meet Urban Meyer. And that's how I met Urban Meyer, and how I ended up hiring Urban Meyer was because Skip brought him to lunch under false pretense. But I'll tell you this, he's just a natural. He's a great coach, but he's a great person. Great players come and go. Great teammates last a lifetime. Urban Meyer was a great teammate. You knew he was going to be a great head coach, but he didn't try to be a head coach. He just tried to be the best assistant he could possibly be. And I'll always be indebted to him. Very, very talented. When I talk about talented in an assistant, you have to talk about Barry Alvarez, Urban Meyer, and the list goes on and on.
Coach, I appreciate you. Thanks for your time today, man. I love talking to you. Have a great rest of your day.
Well, I tell you what, I'm sure I will. But I appreciate you. I appreciate your show. And I always enjoy being with you. I got to say that you're very well prepared. You know what you're doing. And it's just easy. You can just be yourself. We just talk and visit, but keep up the good work. You make so many people happy about athletics.
Thanks, Coach. That means a lot. Gave me chills. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye now.
There he goes, the great Lou Holtz. I'm going to clip that and send that to Urban this afternoon. If you guys wouldn't mind clipping the part where he talks about Urban, and I'm going to send it to him. Because, there's nothing like an appreciation for somebody that you worked with. That's one of the reasons I have no respect for my former coach. He's now dead, Bob Knight. I mean, imagine doing this. I'll give you a Bob Knight story. Listen to how Lou Holtz talks about Urban Meyer. I only heard Knight talk one time about Mike Krzyzewski, and it was nice. It was good. It was great, I guess. It wasn't like that. And Knight would have former players, if they wanted to set a dinner up, and he would make them all bring $20 because he said, I sure as hell aren't paying for you guys. And if they wanted an autograph or something signed, they could only bring one. Now think about that for just a second. Compare that with what Dean Smith did. Dean Smith sent $100 to every one of his players, former players, from his will, saying, take your wife, kids, whatever, out to dinner on me, and thank you for playing for me. That's pretty cool. I'm going to try to get that figured out in my own life. I don't have those guys' kind of money, but that's pretty damn cool. No, it's really damn cool. And that was a very nice tribute to Urban from a guy that means a lot to Urban. It's just different ways of going about your life. And Coach Holtz, you know what? Seems like he goes along pretty damn well, pretty damn appreciative. All right, we just weeks away from the most patriotic awards. It's the most patriotic awards show on TV. Tired of all this crap out of Hollywood. This is it. Fox Nation Patriot Awards. It's back, better than ever. It's hosted by our very own Sean Hannity. There are tickets left to join live Thursday, November 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern at the Tillis Center in New York City. All you got to do is go to foxnation.com/Patriot Awards. Once you select your ticket, you'll have the option to add on tickets to all the fan experience, live show tapings for Fox and Friends, the 5 cocktail party, so much more. It's a record-setting show last year, and this year we believe it is going to be even better with surprise guests, amazing new awards, and even, a special honor for the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you get your tickets today by simply going to foxnation.com/Patriot Awards. I do want to get into this. Yesterday, we played you a clip of Sean Payton. Sean Payton saying he wished the Giants did not start Jackson Dart until they played the Broncos. Clearly, it's a shot at until after they played the Broncos. So Payton said, I did not want the Giants, Payton's the coach of the Broncos, to start Jackson Dart, the rookie quarterback for the Giants, until after the Giants had started and played against the Broncos, Payton's team. That's a shot. That's a pretty good shot at former quarterback Russell Wilson. Well, old dang Russ, which is Russell Wilson's Twitter account, he clapped back. He did. Here's what he had to say, classless but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15-plus years later through the media. #Let's Ride. I thought it was only a couple. Hey, Davey, wasn't this only a couple years ago? 15 years later. Wasn't this only a couple years ago? What's he talking about 15 years later? It was only like 2 years ago that Wilson played for Peyton in Denver. They must have had a pass somewhere. I don't know. What's this about? What?
The 15 years later was Bountygate whenever he was with the Saints is what he's referring to there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, I got it. Yes, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. That defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, had a bounty on players' heads, and he was the coach for Sean Payton. That's a little feeble. Feeble by me, I guess, not knowing. Great by you by knowing. But, yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I do find it funny, Dan, that he's like, it's just this little squabble where it's just like, all right, guys, cool.
Yeah.
You can take these shots at each other. But you can really tell these two did not like each other whatsoever whenever they were both together in Denver.
No, whatever happened was not good. You know, Mike Tomlin, remember he took the shot at Anthony Richardson by saying, well, they had hoped that Richardson would stay in and not be benched in favor of Joe Flacco last year with the Colts. And, well, all right. Hey, look, apparently that's the new thing. Let's go, Davey. Let's go. We got quarterback, player, ex-coach, beef. And you know us. We like 2-all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, brother. We like the beef, don't we? We're good with beef, no?
I love it. Add to the drama. You know, a couple of years ago, Dan, the whole thing was how the NFL is scripted and they're writing all these things. And, yeah, give me more of this. I love the off-the-field back and forth. And, I mean, I wish Tomlin, to your point, would have just after the game said, this is what I had a problem with. You can obviously tell the Browns are trying to tank. Like, just go out and call them out for what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Yeah. All right, well, you know it's getting serious when they remove the ping pong table. Yeah. Ping pong tables in NFL locker rooms are pretty much legendary, but now John Harbaugh and the Ravens, they're off to a rough start. Bad start. Lamar Jackson last seen looking a little bit hot, a little bit smoked, eating street meat. Well, the Ravens, they're, you see it. After falling 1-5, the Ravens removed the players' ping pong table, video game console, basketball hoop, cornhole boards from the locker room. See, here's the deal with that. You know, you put those things in a locker room to recruit or appease, and then as a coach, this is the way I thought, and I got this from Coach Knight. Actually, I thought this as a player. Why am I hanging out in the locker room at the facility? Why aren't I doing something to get better? Like, this is a Bob Knight thing. Nothing was ever in our locker room. When you came to the locker room, you were getting dressed, you went and got taped, did your rehab, whatever you had to do, and you were out on the court getting better. Didn't really want you sitting in there playing pool. I swear to God, you know, I never really took anything from players except the uniform. You know, I said, hey, man, you guys, you got to dress in whatever you wear at practice because you guys don't, you know, players before you busted their ass, you guys don't want to bust your ass, that kind of thing. That's ridiculous. But I couldn't stomach it if I were – and basketball is different because you could go out and shoot. You know, you – set up the shooting gun, get a manager, shoot all day, you know, that kind of thing. Football, maybe it's different. Maybe football, you can't go out there and hit the sled all day. I don't know. But in basketball, if I walked in a locker room and I saw guys just hanging out, sleeping, I'd be like, well, why aren't you out working on your game? Why aren't you out working on your ball handling? Why aren't you out working on your quickness, your agility? Why aren't you in the weight room? It drove me nuts. And that's one of the reasons I had to get out of coaching. Because stuff like that drove me nuts. Now, other coaches, hey, man, they could let it go. I couldn't. I couldn't let a missed class go. I couldn't let being late for something go. I just simply couldn't. I couldn't understand why. And I didn't really do this as a player. But I grew up, I understood. I wish I'd have done it as a player. I didn't understand why when class was over at noon, you weren't here in the weight room working out, or you weren't doing something stretching, or you weren't in having lunch and then coming here and getting better at your craft. I could not understand that. I guess do as I say, not as I did became a thing. I mean, honest to God. No, honest to God. It drove me crazy. And I did not have the mental acuity to put aside, hey, maybe a kid needs rest. Maybe a kid just wants to go home and watch All My Children like I did. But I wished that I had done all that. I wish that instead of sitting on my fat ass watching All My Children with a friend of mine in a fraternity house, I was at the gym lifting or stretching or hanging or whatever. No. I get it. I do. I get what John Harbaugh's doing here. I do. All right, we'll be right back. Our friend Chris Broussard on more than the NBA next.
Football.
All right, Chris Broussard joins us. Normally we talk NBA, but I got to go football with you for a second. Full disclosure, Chris, before the season, NFL season and college season, I made a $50 bet to win $32,000. And here was the bet. I took Fernando Mendoza of Indiana to win the Heisman Trophy. And I took Daniel Jones of the Colts to be MVP in a parlay. Quit writing articles about Baker Mayfield winning the freaking MVP. Stop it. Daniel Jones, damn it.
Well, look, Daniel Jones is having a fantastic season. He's the latest quarterback, right? The latest reclamation project. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, to your point. But here's the thing, and if the Colts are the number 1 seed, which is possible, I don't think it'll happen, but it's possible because their division is pretty weak and their schedule's not that strong, right? Is it Daniel Jones or Jonathan Taylor?
I know.
Now maybe it's Jones because he's a quarterback. Even if people think Taylor's kind of more valuable because Jones is quarterback, he might get it, and he's obviously got a great story and narrative. So it's interesting, man. I mean, look, you're looking pretty good right now. I'll give you that.
I did. I'm not going to lie. I also put 50 after about 2 games on Jonathan Taylor because I think he's so damn good. Rick Venturi's a 35-year NFL defensive coordinator, and he's the analyst on radio for the Colts, and he's a friend, and he told me, he goes, look, Jonathan Taylor's been great, but he's the most improved player in the league. And Chris, I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, yes. He said he never blocked before. Now he blocks. And he changed the way he catches a football. He now catches a football with his shoulder squared to Daniel Jones. And he said, Dan, this kid works so hard on blocking and catching that they don't take him out anymore except to rest him. Because they took him out in the big and now that I'm watching that, they throw it to him all the time, and that's the kind of kid he is. He's that kind of worker and that kind of great dude, Jonathan Taylor. So I root for him. Hell, it ain't 32,000, but it's a pretty good payoff if he wins, right?
Yeah. No, that's a great story because you're right. My thought was what yours was at first. Like he improved. He's always been a great running back. But the other things you don't think of. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I was listening to the game, and he started talking about it. I was driving, and then I called him. I said, what do you mean? And he explained it. I'm like, holy hell. All right, you mentioned the NBA last night. How good are – this is stupid, but how good are the Thunder? And the reason I'm asking is because I love dynasties. I loved when Golden State was doing it. I love when Michael, Magic, Isaiah, all those guys. I love that. They're young. Are they poised to go on a Golden State type run here?
Well, they're certainly poised to. They have everything they need. I'm not predicting necessarily that they'll win it, but they were the youngest team ever, I believe, or the second youngest team to get to the finals last year, and obviously they won it. And so everybody's back. You saw last night that some of their other players, because remember, they beat a bona fide contender in the Rockets without their second best player. Remember, Jalen Williams wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And they still won that game. And, you saw Cason Wallace had shown improvement. Like, guys were better. And so they got the MVP returning who's still young and getting better. Like, as good as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, there's so much of his game that he can improve on. Like, he's not yet a great three-point shooter. He's improving every year, but once he really gets better at that, how in the world are you going to stop him? So, yeah, and Chet Holmgren. I think Chet Holmgren maybe I need to lower it. I've long felt he has superstar potential. I feel comfortable maybe lowering that to star potential, but still, he's their third guy. He's going to get better. And you saw last night, first half, 18 points. He steps into that role without J-Dub and does it fine. So, yeah, look, the West is stacked. You know, everybody thought Denver might repeat and be a dynasty. Everybody thought Boston might repeat and be a dynasty. And it's an age of parity. Nobody's repeated in, I think, 7 years or so. So if you put a gun to my head right now, I might pick Denver in the West just because I like what they did in the offseason. Jokic feels too good to just get one ring. And, you know, time's starting to run out on him. But, yeah, OKC is phenomenal. They're still hungry. And, you know, they're going to be tough to beat.
Michael Thompson came on my show yesterday, and I understand Clay is on the team, okay? I get it. He said he really feels like Dallas is an absolute title contender. You?
No. I mean, if Kyrie Irving were healthy right now, you know, I mean, and maybe, you know, Kyrie, I think, is talking about January. We'll see. But no. And I think they're pretty good. They are very fortunate that they ended up getting Cooper Flagg and the number 1 pick because obviously the Luka trade was crazy. But it looks like it could be okay now. But I think they can get to the postseason and be a team that's gritty and you might not want to play, especially if Kyrie's there. But, I mean, OKC, Denver, Houston, I think I'm taking all of them. And Minnesota, I'm taking all of them for certain over Dallas and probably the Lakers, the Clippers. You know, I'm taking all of them over Dallas. But I you know, Cooper Flagg's exciting. And if AD's healthy, that's 2 legit stars, not to mention Kyrie when he gets back.
He said they have the best rim protection in the game, including Cooper Flagg, who he felt like was elite, even though he hasn't played yet. Shot blocker as a wing guy.
That could be that should be their calling card, the defense. Yeah. Because those guys are tough at the rim, and Flagg is a good defender, especially for a rookie, right? To come out of college, you don't see that often.
You buying? And what's the ceiling for a supposedly really in shape Luka Doncic?
Well, ceiling is MVP, which I mean, it's about time for him to win one. I think he'd be a multiple time MVP guy. It's interesting when you talk about the team because that Dallas team that we were just talking about, remember, he carried them to the finals. And so you would think like he doesn't need the best supporting cast to maybe do something special. I think for the Lakers, it's really about what is LeBron James healthy and how close will he play to last year? If he can be 90% of the player he was last year, maybe average 22 points, 21 points, and rebound and play make. And I think that's huge for them. And then DeAndre Ayton, who wasn't very impressive, obviously, last night. But if he and Luka can develop a competent pick and roll game where Ayton's finishing at the rim, where Ayton is a defender and runs the floor, that's critical for them. The one thing that bothers me about them, and I wish they had added more of this in the offseason, was shooting. Like when you have a guy like Luka, you need to surround him with 3-point shooters. And, Luka's can shoot the 3. LeBron's okay from 3. Reeves okay. Like, they're all right, but I'd like to see a few more knockdown shooters on that team. So, look, I think the Lakers are pretty good. I think they're a playoff team. I'd be a little surprised if they came out of the West.
Hey, Chris, what's a narrative going into the NBA season that is being created that you disagree with or maybe one that you agree with?
Well, I don't know if this qualifies as a like the Knicks. Obviously everybody talks about the Knicks, getting to the finals, winning the championship. They're interesting to me because one, if they don't get to the finals this year, when are they gonna get there? Like Boston's banged up, and I think Boston's gonna be better than people think, but they're banged up. We know, unfortunately, Indiana doesn't have its best player. Orlando is really, I think, going to be good, but they're young. Atlanta is interesting, but they're young. And so I really look at it as kind of being the East is Cleveland's or New York's for the taking. And I like the Knicks better than Cleveland. And so I think what Mike Brown, when he first was in the league with Cleveland and the Lakers, he was a defensive coach. So he knows how to coach defense. So I think he keeps the defensive intensity that Thibodeau had. But when he went to Golden State and you saw it in Sacramento, he became like a really good offensive head coach. And so there's talk in New York about the ball's going to move more. It's not going to be all Jalen Brunson all the time, creating everything. That should unleash Mikal Bridges a little more. And so I think the Knicks, what does that offense look like under Mike Brown? And do they win the East? And I would say this, the West is obviously much better than the East. But the Pacers showed last year, just get there. Like nobody, including me, who had to retract my statement, gave the Pacers a chance. And if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't get hurt, maybe they're the champions. And so get there, and then you got a shot.
We're saying that here. I'm 100% convinced if Halliburton didn't get hurt because he was off to a great start. That's just, hey, speaking
Makes
of
it a little easier to handle, right?
Yeah, a little easier to digest. Yes, a little hope. Hey, Thibodeau going after being fired from the Knicks and going over and helping the Celtics. That's got a little. People get a little up in arms about that, huh? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Oh, New York will definitely get up in arms about that. You know that. But remember, Tibbs was there. Tibbs was in Boston when they won the championship in 2008 with Doc Rivers. And he would like nothing more than to ruin the Knicks season.
Damn right.
So that is an intriguing storyline. And look, I do think without Jason Tatum, I don't think they can win the East. But I do think they're going to be better. Mazzulla is like a maniac in a good way. Like he is not going to let them rest. He's not going to be like, it's a year. Let's just get better and make other players better on our team. So when Jason gets back, we can win a championship. No, he's going to go for it now. And I think Anthony Simons was a good fit. He can shoot and he can score. Now, he's not much of a defender, but I think they'll try to make him play defense just to be on the floor. So, and they're going to probably take 63s a game. I mean, they might actually get close to 63s a game. So they won't be an easy out by any stretch. And then I forgot to mention Detroit, too. I think Detroit's going to be interesting in the East, too.
Yeah, they need a healthy Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey, I went to a couple Detroit games last year. Man, was he good. And then he got hurt. You show me a coach that's rooting for his old team, and I'll show you a freaking liar. A flat-out freaking liar. That's it, man. I'll tell you. Chris, appreciate you, man. Thank you for everything.
Man,
I got money on the line. Screw Baker Mayfield. Screw Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Let's go, Daniel Dimes. Let's go, man. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
That's a heck of a come up from $50 to $32,000. I do have to give you that, man. I'm pulling for you.
My other guy, Mendoza at Indiana. He's now the favorite for the Heisman. So I got to get dimes. Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you. Yeah. $50 to win $32,500.
All right. I'll see you there anytime you know that.
Thank you. There he goes, the great Chris Broussard. Love talking to Chris, man. He is awesome. Hey, we went overtime. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.